Let me just start by saying this. When everything came out about Caleb Williams, when the article dropped and the noise started to swell around it, I think a lot of people were quick to make assumptions. Some fair, some not so fair. But one thing that stood out to me was how Caleb chose to handle it once he finally spoke. His tone, his posture, the clarity in his words, it all felt like someone who understood the weight of the moment, who understood that when you're the face of a franchise, your words carry extra weight, and your ability to address distractions is part of the job. And you know what? He stepped up. He didn't dodge it, didn't deflect. He took it all head on. He started out by acknowledging what everyone was thinking, that this whole storm, this unexpected wave of attention and controversy surrounding that ESPN article wasn't ideal. No one asked for it. The team didn't want it. He didn't want it. But once it was out there, he knew it couldn't be ignored. He said very clearly, it wasn't something we wanted to happen. That was the first moment where you could tell he wasn't going to spin this or pretend it didn't matter. He was going to address it directly. And then he added, we're focused on the present. We're focused on getting this ship in the right direction. That's the mentality you want from your quarterback. Not someone shaken by a headline, but someone grounded enough to see through the noise and still talk about team goals. And then he said something that really stood out to me. He called the article a distraction, but he didn't just stop there. He said, coming out and addressing it is important. That's self-awareness. That's maturity. And then he got into the specifics. He said he had a great visit with the Vikings, that Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota staff were impressive, and that it was a good visit overall. He didn't shy away from it. He didn't try to pretend it didn't happen or act like Minnesota was never a consideration. No, he was honest. He respected them. Called Kevin O'Connell a smart guy, said he just won Coach of the Year. And he's right, that's a legitimate football program over there. If you're a young quarterback and someone like O'Connell invites you in, you're going to listen. And Caleb didn't apologize for that, nor should he. He went on to talk about how a lot of people keep forgetting the timeline, how that visit to Minnesota happened first. That was the first domino. Then came Chicago, then came the time to go home and reflect, and it was in that moment, after talking to his dad and thinking it through, that he made a deliberate decision to commit to the Bears. That wasn't a rush judgment. That wasn't someone being reactive. That was a young man weighing two options and making a conscious, calculated decision. And what's more, he said, it was a deliberate and determined answer. That phrasing stuck with me. You don't say that unless you truly mean it. He wasn't waffling. He wasn't lukewarm. He was locked in. Then he addressed the bigger picture. He talked about the Bears, about how this franchise hasn't had a 4,000-yard passer, about how the quarterback history in Chicago has been frankly bleak. That's not news to anyone. That's been the narrative for years. But he didn't sound intimidated by it. He sounded motivated. He said that was the main goal through all of what was going on and what happened. The idea of being the guy to turn it around, that was enticing. And you know what? I'll believe him, because he here wasn't saying it for the first time. This was something he mentioned when the draft process started, when people were still trying to figure out whether he'd be open to the Bears or not. And now, even with all the noise, he stayed consistent. He doubled down on that original statement. He wants to be the reason the Chicago Bears finally get it right at quarterback. That's a bold ambition, and he's owning it. He spoke with admiration about the people around him, his teammates, his family, his coaches, everyone who played a role in bringing him to Chicago. And he didn't have to name names, but he did. He specifically called out Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron. And that's interesting because, let's be real, a lot of us, myself included, have been critical of both those guys. Matt Eberflus, for much of last season, looked like a coach struggling to find footing. And Shane Waldron, he hadn't exactly lit things up either, at least not in Chicago. But Caleb still gave them credit, still acknowledged the time and energy they invested in him during the pre-draft process. That, to me, shows character. It shows class. And frankly, it shows a level of respect that not all young players would have had in that situation. He didn't have to say that. He'd already said enough, but he did. And that spoke volumes. Later, he even mentioned his dad. He talked about how his father is intelligent and passionate, someone who's been in his corner every step of the way. But he also made it clear that at the end of the day, he's his own man. Someone asked, perhaps clumsily, does your dad speak for you? And that could have gone sideways real quick. But Caleb smiled, brushed it off, and said, no, he doesn't. I'm a grown man. And that's how you do it. No anger, no defensiveness, just a calm and confident rebuttal. He said he listens to his dad, of course, but sometimes he has to shut him down. And that right there told you everything you need to know about where Caleb's at mentally. He's not some kid being puppeteered. He's not just along for the ride. He's leading the way now. That entire media session gave me the sense that this is a guy who gets it, who understands not just the X's and O's, but also the PR side, the leadership side, the burden of being QB1 in a market as demanding and passionate as Chicago. And that's not easy, especially not when you're this young. But he handled it like a vet, like someone who's already been through the fire and come out sharper for it. He was direct. He didn't fumble around for the right words. He knew what he wanted to say, and he said it. That poise, that's not something you teach. That's something you either have or you don't. And I'm telling you, Caleb Williams has it. Now, is everything going to be smooth sailing from here? No, of course not. Adversity is going to come. That's a guarantee in this league. There will be games where the offense sputters, where mistakes are made, where critics circle like vultures. That's just part of the job. But based on what we saw in that press conference, I feel more confident that he's got the temperament to handle it, that he won't implode under pressure, that he won't shrink from the spotlight. If anything, I think he'll lean into it. What we saw this week was important. It was a turning point in a way, because this could have gone differently. He could have sulked. He could have issued some sterile statement crafted by a PR rep, but he didn't. He showed up. He spoke like a grown man, like a leader, like the face of a franchise. And if you're a Bears fan, that's what you want to see. Look, I get it. The story's been exhausting. This whole Caleb controversy felt manufactured to a degree. But now, it's time to close that chapter. Time to get back to football. That's what he wants. And honestly, that's what we all want. Let the kid focus on the playbook. Let him learn. Let him fail in practice. Let him make mistakes now so he can grow from them. That's what May and June are for. And by the time September rolls around, we'll have a better idea of just how ready he is to be that guy. He said he loves being in Chicago. Said he loves his teammates, loves the people who helped bring him here. That doesn't sound like a guy with one foot out the door. That sounds like someone bought in, committed. And if that's the energy Caleb's bringing into year one, then we've got something to work with. As we move forward from the initial shockwaves and distractions, the real work begins. The daily grind of preparation, practice, and proving oneself on the field. Caleb Williams knows this better than anyone. All the hype and speculation mean nothing once the pads go on and the whistle blows. This is where talent meets discipline, where raw potential is tested and either forged into greatness or left to wither under pressure. For Caleb, the opportunity to show what he can do in Bears Blue is both a privilege and a massive responsibility. The expectations in Chicago are enormous, and the spotlight only grows brighter with every snap. What's interesting about Caleb's situation is that he's not walking into a perfect scenario. The Bears are a team in transition, trying to rebuild an identity and find consistency after years of mediocrity and turnover at the quarterback position. The supporting cast around him is a mix of veterans and youngsters, some promising and others still finding their footing. The offensive line, for instance, has had its struggles, which means Caleb's going to have to be quick, smart, and tough to survive in the pocket. He's not just inheriting a playbook, he's inheriting a challenge to elevate those around him while keeping his own performance at a high level. There's also the added layer of competition and mentorship. Andy Dalton, the veteran quarterback, is still on the roster, bringing years of experience and leadership. While it's clear Caleb is the future, having a seasoned pro like Dalton nearby can be invaluable. Dalton can serve as a sounding board, a calming presence in the chaos of an NFL training camp, and someone who understands the grind of the position. The dynamic between the two quarterbacks will be one to watch. Caleb bringing youthful energy and innovation, Dalton offering steadiness and guidance. This kind of balance can help accelerate Caleb's development, provided both parties buy into their roles and respect the process. Caleb's off-season program and early reports from OTAs and minicamp suggest that he's been putting in the work. There's a hunger in his preparation that's hard to fake. He's been studying film, working on his footwork, timing, and mechanics. Coaches have praised his work ethic and football IQ, which speaks volumes given the adjustment from college to the pro game is often steep. It's one thing to dominate at the collegiate level, but the NFL is faster, defenses are more complex, and the margin for error is razor thin. Caleb's awareness of this reality shows a level of maturity beyond his years. He knows that natural talent is just the starting point. The real challenge is mastering the details and consistently executing under pressure. Another piece of this puzzle is the relationship with the coaching staff, especially offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. Building trust and chemistry with your coordinator is crucial for any quarterback. It's the coordinator who designs the plays, calls the game, and helps the QB interpret what defenses are showing pre-snap. Caleb's willingness to communicate openly and adapt will be key here. From all indications, the dialogue between Caleb and Waldron is constructive, with an emphasis on collaboration rather than rigid instruction. That flexibility can be a big advantage for a young quarterback trying to learn and grow quickly. The locker room environment is another factor that can't be overlooked. Winning culture start in the locker room with the right mix of personalities and leadership. Caleb's teammates seem to be embracing him, which is essential. When the QB has the locker room support, it creates a positive atmosphere that fosters confidence and resilience. Even on tough days when the offense stalls or mistakes happen, having that collective belief in your leader helps maintain focus and drive. Caleb's attitude and how he carries himself off the field will be just as important as his performance on it. Despite the optimism, there are still questions lingering around how quickly Caleb can adjust to the speed and complexity of the NFL. Rookie quarterbacks often face a steep learning curve. Timing routes, reading coverages, managing the game clock, and handling pressure from defenders who are stronger and faster than anything they faced before. Mistakes are inevitable. The key is how he responds to those mistakes, whether he gets discouraged or uses them as fuel to improve. So far, Caleb's mindset suggests the latter. He's spoken openly about embracing challenges and learning from every rep. That resilience will be tested over the coming months, but it's a promising sign. One of the biggest challenges for Caleb will be consistency. In college, it's easier to dominate when you're clearly the best player on the field, but the NFL demands that you bring your best game every single week. Maintaining focus and executing a high level of play over a 17-game schedule is a monumental task. Injuries, weather, hostile crowds, and relentless defenses all add layers of difficulty. But Caleb has demonstrated the mental toughness and competitive fire that can sustain him through those challenges. His ability to stay composed and lead under pressure could be the difference between a promising rookie season and an outright breakout. The media scrutiny will only increase as the season approaches. Chicago is a city that lives and breathes football, and the expectations for Caleb Williams are sky high. Every throw, every decision, every win or loss will be dissected. That pressure can crush some young quarterbacks, but it can also forge out great ones. From what we've seen in his interviews and how he handled the initial distractions, Caleb is prepared for the spotlight. He understands that being an NFL quarterback isn't just about athletic skill, it's about leadership, media, savvy, and mental strength. Those intangible qualities will be crucial as he navigates the highs and lows of his rookie year. Ultimately, the key takeaway is that Caleb Williams is entering the NFL not just as a talented passer, but as a complete player ready to embrace the full scope of what it means to be a franchise quarterback. His journey will be watched closely, and the road ahead will be tough, but the foundation he's building now, with focus, maturity, and commitment, gives Bears fans a real reason to be excited. This is just the beginning, but the promise is unmistakable. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. A growing buzz is stirring in the sports world as Caleb Williams, the highly touted quarterback sensation, faces a wave of criticism over his surprising decision to join the Chicago Bears. Since the announcement, fans and analysts alike have been debating whether Williams made the right move. And the young star has now broken his silence with a statement that is fueling even more speculation. Williams, who has been hailed as one of the most promising talents in college football, stunned many when he chose the Bears over other teams. Rumored to be courting him aggressively, critics argue that the Bears' current roster and recent performance might not offer the ideal platform for a player of his caliber to shine immediately, suggesting he may have missed better opportunities to join more established franchises. However, Caleb's recent comments seem to dismiss these critiques, adding a layer of intrigue to the unfolding saga. In a bold and somewhat controversial declaration, Williams expressed confidence in his decision, emphasizing that the Bears' vision and organizational strategy align perfectly with his own aspirations. "I'm not here to take the easy road," he reportedly said, hinting at a desire to build something from the ground up rather than stepping into a team already on top. This perspective has sparked a fresh debate. Is Caleb positioning himself as a transformational figure willing to embrace a challenge, or is this a risky gamble that could backfire? The timing of his remarks couldn't be more provocative, as the Bears are at a crossroads themselves, seeking to rebuild and reclaim glory in a fiercely competitive league. Industry insiders speculate that Caleb's presence could attract other key players, potentially reshaping the team's dynamics and prospects. On the other hand, skeptics warn that the pressure on such a young athlete to perform under these conditions might be overwhelming, especially in a market as demanding as Chicago. While the Bears faithful are eager to embrace their new quarterback, the shadow of doubt looms large. Will Caleb Williams rise to the challenge and validate his decision, or will the critics' predictions hold true? The coming months will be crucial in determining whether this bold choice was a masterstroke or a misstep in a young career that has already captured so much attention. For now, the sports world watches closely, waiting to see how this intriguing story unfolds. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.